it's Kimberly Miller from Hug Longer Digital Designs, and I had asked on my Facebook group what you'd like to see demonstrated in either a YouTube or a live video. I decided to go YouTube this time, and Michelle answered, and she said that she would like to see the in the hoop pot holder made. I'm going to make it more of a hot pad style because I'm not going to add a little lube, but it's the same basic premise. And I have my materials all over here. I looked on the instructions and cut specifically the sizes that it asked for. At that point I did take it to the iron. It gave everything a quick little press except for the batting. Now we have the front of the pot holder loaded into the machine, and we're going to go ahead, set that in there. We're going to run our first color, and that is going to be the placement for the batting. So let's give that a run. We're just going to go with whatever color we got in here. I went with whatever fabric I had as well, so it may not be the prettiest hot pad, but it'll work. Alright, our placement line stitched out. It's a nice square shape, and I'm going to take my batting. I used 2 layers only because I didn't have Insulbright. I'm just using some thinner stuff. So I would get the Insulbright. It is made specifically for things like pot holders and will definitely keep you from burning your hands better than this will. But now we are covering our placement line with the batting, and then we're going to run our next series of stitches to tack that down. Okay, I ran that, and you can see here that the batting is just tacked down. Next, we're going to run placement lines for our 2 3x3 pieces of fabric, or I'm sorry, our 2 3x3 pieces of fabric, it says. So let's go ahead and do a stop reserve, stitch those up. So color 3 ran a square. Looks like just under a 3x3 inch square in the middle of my, not in the middle, on part of my pot holder. So I'm going to take my 2 pieces of fabric, I'm going to put them pretty side together, and I'm going to cover the entire square. Make sure it's all covered nicely, and then I'm going to run color 4. This is what happened when I ran color 4. It just did one straight line right here. Now you're going to open this up and just do a little finger press. This would have been prettier had I used 2 different color fabrics, but again, I'm just using what I have in the house. Okay, so we're just going to finger press this open and put it right back on the hoop. The next color change, it says we're going to run the 5th color placement for the lines of my 3x5.5 inch fabric. So let's do that next. Okay, I did the next color, and that was just a line straight down here, right on those 2 little squares across both of them. I'm going to take my piece of fabric, and I am going to lay that one on top of the stitch line. The next stitch is going to stitch right down here. See, I have it pretty side down. So then after it stitches, we're going to flip it open, and it will look like this. So we'll come back when that's taken care of. Okay, we stitched that in place and we finger pressed it open. And the next color change is going to be the left and right side binding. So let's go ahead and run that, and we'll come back after. Boy, I called it close here. I wasn't very careful when I was cutting my fabric, I guess, but I made it right down the stitch line. So it did the left and the right binding line. I'm going to take pretty side down on the left side first, and I'm going to place the fabric there. It will stitch the same line. I'll flip it open just like the other pieces and press it by hand, and then it will do the same thing for this side, and I will flip it open and press it by hand, and I'll come back after those 2 steps are done. Here we have it. It's stitched here. I'm going to press it here a little bit better with my fingers so it lays down nice, and did the same thing over here. Next, what's going to happen is we're going to get a placement line here in here for the top and bottom binding. And once we have that in place, I'll show you the final steps of the front. Okay, you can see I stitched this line and this line now, and just like with the other two bindings, I'm going to do this one first because this is the one that ran first, and this next color change will tack this one down. I'll then open it up like this, and then I'll place this one over here. Noticing it's covering the whole project right now, pretty side down. It'll stitch here again, and I'll flip that over as well. Then we'll come back and talk about the next step. And we're close to finished with the front side. Okay, I added these other sides, the binding, stitched right along the same line as the placement. I'm going to flip these open and kind of hand press them just a little bit, both sides, pretty side down, flip it over, pretty side out, just like this. And this will be the second two pieces of binding. Now the next step is the quilting. You can hear some conversation going on my Facebook in the background. I'm in the middle of a chat conversation, but the next will be the quilting. And you could skip the quilting if you wanted to. It really is a nice, pretty way to finish it. And at that point too, you could also personalize it. You could put a name here. You could just put "be kind." You could do anything you want, but make sure to do that now. After the quilting or before the quilting, really after the quilting is best. So do the quilting and then the personalization if you want to have that done, because once we're finished with this, we're going to start on the back of the pot holder. And after that point, it's really not a good time for any personalization. Here we are. We finished the stippling, and I did add the "be kind." I figured it's a good message now and always. Seems to be an especially important message, so let's be kind. And this is finished now. The front is finished. I'm going to set it aside after I tear away the stabilizer. I did do the first step on the back. The first step was the square again. So we have the square. It's a little hard to see because it's light fabric. And now I'm going to cover it with a piece of batting. This is not actually batting. Again, I'm using what I have in the house. And then cover it also with a piece of fabric, pretty side up. So I'm going to adjust these and make them nice and squared off. And I'm going to tack these down on the next stitch and come back to you. All right, we tack that down on the back now. And then we're going to do stippling on the next stitch. So the front and back will both have stippling. They're not stippled together, but it will have a nice consistent look. So let's do that and take a look at that when we're done. It's hard to see the stippling on here because it's black on black, black and white, but I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but it's stippled, the entire pot holder. Now I did skip adding the twill tape for a little pot holder handle because I'm making it into just a hot pad. So the next step I'm going to do is I take my front and I'm going to place it pretty side down right on top. I'm going to try to match up this outer line with this line. So I'm going to try to make it exact so I have a real nice professional look when I'm done. So let's go ahead and put that back in the hoop and see what we can make happen here. Here we have it. It's sewed all the way around except for this area right here. So what I will do next is remove all the stabilizer. I'm going to trim, I'm going to square off the corners. I'll take you a little picture of that, and then we're going to flip it right side out, press it a little bit, and whip stitch this closed. I will do some photos as I do those processes.